In the quiet, regal chambers of the palace, Princess Isabella lay restless, her young heart intrigued by what lay beyond the castle walls. The still of the night was broken by a sound that sent a chill down her spine, a sound that was not of this world, a sound that could only mean one thing: the presence of the Rake. This dark, terrifying figure, a shadow born of nightmares, had come to visit her. The Rake, its voice like a whisper in the wind, challenged her to a game, a test of wits in the form of riddles. Isabella, brave beyond her years, accepted. As she navigated the labyrinth of the Rake's riddles, she felt her heart race, her palms sweat. Each riddle was more chilling than the last, each answer a step deeper into the darkness. But as she played this game, she realized something that struck her like a bolt of lightning. The true enemy was not the Rake, but her own fears. The riddles were not a test from the creature, but a reflection of her own insecurities, her own apprehensions. The Rake was merely a mirror, reflecting the monsters that lurked within her own mind. The fear of the unknown, the fear of what lay beyond the castle walls, the fear of her own potential. These were the real monsters. She looked at the Rake, her eyes now clear, her heart steady. She saw not a monster, but a challenge, an opportunity to face her fears. And so she continued the game, answering each riddle with newfound confidence, each answer a battle cry against her own fears. The Rake, sensing this change, faded into the shadows, its purpose served. As dawn broke, the castle was once again filled with the familiar sounds of life. Princess Isabella stood alone in her chamber, the echoes of the night still ringing in her ears. But she was different now. She was not the same young princess who had lain restless in her bed. She was a warrior, a conqueror of her own fears. As the sun rose, she stood alone in her chamber, her heart echoing with the realization that the true monster was within her own mind. The Rake, the chilling sound, the game of riddles, they were all but catalysts, pushing her to confront her fears. And she did, emerging stronger, braver, ready to face whatever lay beyond the castle walls. The Rake was gone, but its lessons remained, forever etched in her heart. And so Princess Isabella, the brave, stood tall, a beacon of courage in the face of fear. In a bustling 50s bar, a solitary man sat in the corner, his face etched with disturbance. Engulfed by the warmth of lively chatter and clinking glasses, an eerie silence enveloped him. He was a man who'd seen something beyond the ordinary, a grim tale etched in the lines of his face. His friends gathered around, curiosity piqued by the shadows in his eyes. He began to speak, his voice barely a whisper over the hum of the bar, yet it echoed in the hearts of those who listened. "One night, under the moon's icy gaze, I encountered it, the Rake," he began. His words hung heavy in the air, the name of the creature alone enough to send a shiver down the spine of the bravest men. A figure, neither man nor beast, haunting the shadows, its eyes glowing with an inhuman light. His friends exchanged glances, some skeptical, others visibly disturbed. Yet they were all captive to his tale, their disbelief held at bay by the palpable fear evident in his voice. He continued, "It stood at the foot of my bed, its form shifting in the darkness. I could feel its gaze cold and unyielding, piercing into my soul." The man paused, his eyes lost in the memory. He took a deep breath, and with a shudder he carried on. "I could do nothing but cower, my body frozen in fear. I could feel it, smell it, the cold dread that filled the room. And then, as sudden as its appearance, it vanished." The room had fallen silent, the once lively chatter now replaced by an uneasy stillness. His story, whether they believed it or not, had left an indelible mark. It brought to life their deepest fears, the monsters lurking in the shadows, the unknown that lay beyond the comfort of their reality. As the night wore on, the bar returned to its usual hum, the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses once again filling the room. But the man's tale had left its mark. Every shadow seemed to hold a sinister secret, every creak of the wooden floor a chilling reminder of the unknown. The image of the Rake, with its glowing eyes and shifting form, was etched into their minds, a haunting presence that lingered long after the tale had ended. And so, the man's story served as a grim reminder that even in the safety of their well-lit world, the unknown lurked in the shadows. That fear was not just a product of the mind, but a palpable force, as real as the bar they sat in, as real as the drinks they held in their hands. As the night wore on, the chilling shadow of the rake lingered, a haunting reminder of the unknown. On a stormy night, Lucas was jolted awake by a sinister noise. A chill ran down Lucas's spine as he recognized the sound of the rake. It was no ordinary creature, but a being of darkness, haunting the edges of our world, lurking in the shadows of our deepest fears. Heart pounding, Lucas peered into the darkness, and there it was, the rake, stalking him with its piercing gaze. In that moment, Lucas's father burst into the room, his courage as bright as the lightning that lit up the night outside. With a protectiveness only a father can muster, he stood in front of his son, ready to confront the creature. His eyes met the rake's, an unspoken challenge hanging in the air. While his father held the creature at bay, Lucas, driven by the will to survive, fumbled around in the darkness. His hand found the cold, reassuring touch of a flashlight. The darkness was no longer an enemy, but a hiding place. He switched it on, the beam cutting through the darkness, turning it into a weapon. The rake recoiled, light being the one thing it couldn't stand. Its monstrous form retreated, shrinking back into the shadows from whence it came. The light was their shield, their sword, their beacon of hope in the face of pure terror. Lucas and his father had won the battle, but the war was far from over. In the aftermath, father and son shared a moment, a bond forged in the crucible of fear and courage. They held each other, their relief a palpable force in the room, stronger than the storm raging outside. They were survivors, warriors against the dark, a team that could face anything as long as they had each other. They knew then that they were each other's strength, each other's light in the darkness. The encounter with the rake was terrifying, but it had shown them, in stark clarity, the depth of their bond. The storm outside was nothing compared to the tempest they had weathered together, and nothing could ever break the bond they had. They knew that no matter how dark the night, no matter how sinister the noise, they would always have each other. The rake might stalk them from the shadows, but they would stand firm, a beacon of light in the darkness, ready to face whatever terror the night might bring. As they held each other in the darkness, they knew they would always have each other, even in the face of the darkest terror.